Going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Take Three podcast. My name is Brandon. Today, I'm here, joined as always by my co-host Alex here on a Tuesday afternoon. Good, solid Monday night football game last night between the Rams and the Cardinals. The Rams they got things back on track offensively, protected Matt Stafford. He looked pretty damn good, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And then on the other side of the ball, you looked at just sloppy football out of the Cardinals, Kyler Murray with the 2 interceptions, the red zone one, then the one where it's weird to say just too short. The ball gets batted by Leonard Floyd and he picks it off, finishes 30-23. It really it makes the NFC, at least the race for that 1 seed, super interesting now that every team has 3 L's. I think it's the first time ever that this late in the year, at least every team has 3+ losses on their resume. There's no real standout stud team that's light years better. So the NFC, the race for the 1 seed gets super interesting. In other business, we watched, Dallas do their job in Washington, Urban Meyer's dumpster fire continue. We watched the Chiefs get it back on track a little bit. It seems like every time they play the Raiders like to celebrate on the logo before the game. That wasn't exactly smart, 48-9 there. You probably pissed them off a little bit. I wouldn't have did that. We watched the Ravens. They back to recover. No Lamar. Tyler Huntley, I believe that's the name. 24-22 loss in Cleveland. Kind of a depressing game if you're a Ravens fan. Now that you look at Lamar with the ankle sprain going forward into the last 4 games, things get super interesting. We'll get into that. We watched the Bengals piss away another game. Typical stuff there. Tom Brady does his thing. We'll get into that. Aaron Rodgers, he in Chicago, did his thing on Sunday Night Football. So, bring it back around. How are you feeling on a Tuesday coming off of Week 14?
I'm feeling good and heading into it. I had a good week against the spreads, pretty close to 500. I'm kind of in a good spot personally going into last month, picking wise. And it was an interesting weekend. You kind of went through it already, but we'll dive in deeper. But we had 2 good overtime games. The Bears made Sunday night at least interesting and entertaining. I really want to dive into that Monday night game with Arizona because I was thoroughly disappointed with Arizona. The Chiefs look like the Chiefs, and all of a sudden it feels like we're heading into the final month of the season. It feels like it's the same exact teams from last year: Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Kansas City, and then I would add New England this year. Those feel like the 4 best teams right now. I really wanted to say Arizona, but they've kind of sputtered a little bit on Monday night. So yeah, we'll get into it.
Yes, we might as well just start right there while we're there. I already mentioned 30-23. The Rams shock everybody. Shorthanded, obviously. Higbee was out with COVID, false positive, but he's still, I don't know, the NFL protocol is odd. So he did not suit up. And then the big one was Jalen Ramsey. He did test positive for COVID, and he was out kind of spur of the moment, I believe it was in the afternoon on Monday where he was ruled out. But nonetheless, the Rams kind of get it going on offense. 17 carries out of Sony Michel. They really just let him. He seems like he's a good back for their system, just sending him up the middle. Let him do his thing, shoot up 4 or 5 yards, and get your play action pass game. And you really saw the heavy play action pass game. They had Cooper Kupp all day. He was eating. Odell even looked back. He had his little touchdown celebration, got things rolling. And then if you're on the other side of the ball, it's the Cardinals, kind of the team that we looked at for weeks for saying, when is this style of Cardinals team where they turn the ball over and they don't look great on defense? They look great in some possessions. They were able to get to Matt Stafford, get the ball back for the offense, but they just didn't play a full game. The turnovers were bad. We kind of expected at some point in the season, probably sooner rather than at this point, that the Cardinals would sputter. It's weird that their 3 losses this year are at home. They're 7-0 on the road. So if you're a Cardinals fan, you can sit back and say, we didn't want the 1 seed. We want to go on the road in the playoffs. We're better on the road. Anyway, if you're looking for a positive note on the Cardinals side, AJ Green was going ham, and then James Conner. I didn't realize he can run the full route tree out of the backfield. That man was doing a little bit of everything. But how are you feeling coming off of this Monday night game? Certainly, Matt Stafford finally gets over the hump facing the team that is 4+ games over 500, only the 2nd win of his career, facing a team with a similar record like that. The Rams I'm not really back invested, but they looked good. Matt Stafford looked healthy. It's I guess the excuses are off now. He's no longer injured because he had a good week, or what are we seeing here in LA and then also on the Arizona side?
Yeah, so I'm going to start on the Rams side. This was more of the team I expected their first matchup. this was the team that I thought this was the best they've looked since they beat Tampa Bay like week 4 or 5 in the season. The Rams have really struggled the past month, with the exception of Monday night and then that Jacksonville win. They were not looking good. So like kudos to the Rams. They had no Jalen Ramsey. They still got it done defensively, and then the offense put up 30 points. They got rolling a little bit. Odell looks way more comfortable. He had another touchdown, 6 for 77. This might be his best game since like his first or second game in Cleveland. It feels like a while since we've seen a good big OBJ game, not just a couple short touchdowns. So that was really good to see. You got Cooper Kupp going, Sony Michel in the run game was going even without Darrell Henderson. So like very encouraged with the Rams, and like impressed with their defensive performance, especially without Jalen Ramsey. And like, I wouldn't say I'm back sold into the Rams. I think they're a divisional team. I don't think they'll make the conference championship. I think they might win a wild card game, but I'm still not bought in on the Rams entirely. I was really bought in the first month of the season, but they've just looked so up and down and not great for their whole body of work. I'm not going to buy back into them. I thought it was very encouraging, and they have a month of football left to build on it, and they certainly can get back to the contender status. But to me, they're not quite there yet, but it was very encouraging. And then the other end for Arizona, I wanted so bad for them to be contenders, and like they still are, right? They can still get it done in theory, but they definitely dropped down for me. It was like a sloppy game offensively. Kyler Murray at that first interception when in the red zone, they could have took a commanding 10-0 lead at home, and instead that turns into a touchdown the other way, and all of a sudden they're losing 7-3. They do a quick three and out, or maybe they got a first down, but it was a quick possession, give it right back to the Rams. All of a sudden they're losing 10-3. And it was pretty impressive that they even were able to tie it up before half with the Kyler run to the sideline to get the field goal to go to halftime 13-13. It just felt like a really sloppy game from Arizona. At times their offense looked really good. They spread the ball out really well, and at times they just could not really get the ball moving. I'm surprised at the DeAndre Hopkins usage. I mean, he got a lot of targets. He got 5 catches, 54 yards. You got to find a way to manufacture more touches for him. He's just that good. I understand that they have a ton of weapons. Kyler's spreading the ball around well, and like the offense has been humming, but you got DeAndre Hopkins might be the best receiver in the league, him and Devontae Adams. Like, I feel like you just got to sometimes get him the ball a little bit more, especially in contested situations. And really, I'm just disappointed with Kyler's execution. That first pick I went over, the second pick was bad too. That led to a Rams touchdown. And then even when at the end of the game, they kicked a field goal, onside recover, and then they had 2 penalties in a row. They were back 15 yards. It was just sloppy football from Arizona. And if they're really going to be a contender and actually represent the NFC, you got to clean those things up. It's hard not to be thoroughly disappointed with Arizona, because I was riding with them Monday night, but they had all the tools here to get it done and have the road to the Super Bowl go through Arizona. And now they don't have the 1 seed, and it feels kind of like a long shot that they'll be able to get it back.
Yeah. Do they really want it though? And Cooper Kupp says hello about being one of the top receivers in football. I just think that chemistry's kind of dwindled when you look at Kyler was out for a month, and DeAndre Hopkins has been in and out. He did get him the ball in a big situation that bounced right off his chest, which was a crucial play in the game. But yeah, I mean, you hit on all the nails. It's just a sloppy game out of Arizona. It felt like the first time in a while where the 3-time defensive player of the year, Aaron Donald, showed up with 3 sacks and really made his imprint on this game, which was huge when you're down Ramsey in the secondary and you're really running a short-staffed secondary back out there to get Aaron Donald with 3 sacks, obviously, and then Leonard Floyd off the edge, getting himself an interception. It came down to execution, and the Rams and Sean McVay showed why they are still, I would say, if they're not a contender, if they didn't leap back into contender status, they're certainly like a dark horse team that when everybody's there, if their offense operates like this, it seems like they were comfortable. They should continue to run Sony Michel out of the backfield. He seems like a better fit for the scheme over Darrell Henderson. That they could be a dark horse. And I don't know, as you mentioned, the Cardinals, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that they will potentially be out of that building if they make a long run and maybe have to go down to Tampa to face Tom Brady, where Tom Brady's been pretty good, but they've been pretty good on the road. So, I don't know. It was just kind of one of those things where I was so bought into Arizona. The COVID thing, that was Jalen Ramsey. I was like, dude, this is even easier. Like, yeah, this is money again. And then they just found a way to play sloppy football, and kind of expected it out of Kyler, as I mentioned, at some point in the season to have one of these games where he kind of tosses it away, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said dark horse because, like, I would throw Dallas in there with both of these teams as dark horse. It's just hard to, as much as like at times in this season I've been sold on all three of those teams, Dallas, Arizona, and the Rams. It's just really hard to picture them going into Green Bay or Tampa Bay and beating those guys, Rodgers or Brady. It's just hard to see.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I would say longer shot for me seeing somebody go to Tampa Bay. We've seen Aaron Rodgers lose.
Yeah.
We've seen he likes to lose at home for some reasons in the big one. But yeah, I mean it's agreed. I would definitely the Rams, they got it back on. We'll see what they look like next week because they could look like complete dog shit next week. Good thing if you're a Cardinals fan, you get to go home, you get to go on the road actually and play the Lions. So you get to warm the thing back up, play try to play some clean football and yeah, get DeAndre Hopkins, find a way to get that chemistry going because the chemistry with him and Kyler at one point was legit. And with him missing time and then Kyler missing time, it's kind of dwindled. When I see James Conner get 9 targets, that's kind of wild. Honestly, I mean, DeAndre led the team in targets, so he had 12 targets. So it's
Yeah.
just the five catches, 54 yards. Maybe it's obviously the one big one at the end where it hits him in the chest. That will be the one that's looked at that hurts the most. But I mean, the Cardinals are still 10-3, good spot. Probably still winning the division as long as they don't slip. They have pretty much, I mean, the Lions, Colts at home, that could be a tough one. They go to Dallas, where Dallas tends to like to lose January games and choke games away. And then they face maybe the end of the Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson era to finish up the season. So the Cardinals are still in a good spot, but this was kind of, I'll say it again, kind of, we were expecting this Cardinals team to show up like this at some point that just happened to be on a primetime stage, which is it's not ideal, I guess you would say. But sure, let's keep moving to another team who's kind of they're now clamoring now that they watched the Cardinals lose. We got the Bills, or not the Bills, the Bucs played the Bills, yeah. Game where it looked like the Bucs were just going to smoke them 24-3. I was like, this is a wrap. Like Bucs 3.5 was the easiest pick of all time. The Bills, look at them again. They have nothing. Like they're actually dysfunctional and doomed. And then we watch literally Tom Brady's offense shut down in the fourth quarter, couldn't get anything going. Buffalo goes on a 17-3 run, gets them back in it, gets them into overtime. But then Tom Brady, what does Tom Brady do, man? He finds the most random guy on the planet, Rashad Perryman, down the sidelines, touchdown. And one team goes to 10-3, the other team 7-6, saying, what the hell just happened after we played basically a Super Bowl favorite to the wire and to lose like that. So, I mean, tough loss for the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, they fell to 7-6. I was looking at their schedule before this, very favorable. So I still like them as far as making the playoffs. Like I'm really not worried. They have a very favorable schedule when they play the Panthers, who can't beat anybody anymore. They do go on the road to New England, but that game really might not matter for them because they play the Falcons and the Jets. I still see at least 3 wins down the stretch for them anyway. So that should get them to 10 wins. And then if they go 10-7, they're in as a wild card team, but they definitely I don't know. I mean, we knew it was going to be a long day on the defensive side of the ball when you face Tom Brady. I guess if you're happy with it, you're happy that Josh Allen was able to get it going. 54 passes, kind of crazy. He also had 12 on the ground. They got to find at some point, maybe try to find a running back that can produce a little bit. Josh Allen led the team in carries, 12 for a buck, 9 and a touchdown. And then for Tom Brady, just it's a clinic at home, and they're like 2 different teams with the wins and losses. Leonard Fournette gets it going again, another 19 for 100 and a touchdown. Godwin, 10 catches, 105. So the Bucs are in a good spot. They have a cakewalk schedule going down the stretch. I believe it's Saints, Jets, Carolina twice. So they're in a good spot to honestly just run the table and be 14-3. So yeah, what did you see coming out of this? Are you impressed that maybe the Bills showed a little bit of heart, got back into it, or are you not? Are you still not in on the Bills?
I'm not in on the Bills in the sense that the preseason expectations were too high for them. We expected them to be leading the AFC East and being there for potentially the 1 seed. And now we're talking about them hanging on to get a wild card spot. So to me, I'm not all in on the Bills. I think they'll be a playoff team still. I think they'll be a wild card team. It's encouraging that they showed heart and came back, because if they got blown out, it would have been even worse because they haven't looked great recently. So I'm very encouraged that they were able to get something going offensively. Josh Allen on the ground, running game still hurting quite a bit, like you said, but it's just hard to feel excited or encouraged about this Buffalo team considering their preseason expectations. Now that they're adjusted, they're more of just a wild card team. Yeah, you feel good about them going in. You think they're going to get a wild card spot. They played the Super Bowl champs down to the wire. But I mean, I think most Bills fans are still disappointed with the result in the season. If I'm the Bucs though, and Tom Brady, you got the offense going. You're starting to collect wins. I do think they win out and finish 14-3. We'll see, but I'm just would be a little concerned with the defense. You let them get back into it at home, which is never an encouraging sign. But they are getting healthier and they're getting better. It's the run game to me. They shut it down again. Yes, Josh Allen went 12 for 109, but running quarterback runs are a little bit different to me. I'm just I would say I'm encouraged with Tampa Bay still. The defense worries me a little bit, but they're one of those units that like I feel like as they get healthier and get more chemistry down this last month of the season, they're going to be playing their best ball heading into the playoffs. And also Antonio Brown's still not playing. He is still another level to this offense. So they have in theory have another step forward and can get even better. And then just to your point of Tom Brady finding the one random guy, that was Brashad Perriman's only catch of the game, the 58-yard walk-off touchdown.
Yeah, second target. Yeah, he broke that off. Yeah, I don't. You hit it once again. Yeah, the Bills did not live up to the preseason billing, as one would say, as we really thought. At least out of the gates, we were like, "Damn, these guys are the cream of the crop," as we kept saying in the AFC. They couldn't get it done the entire year. Yes, I'm not bought back into them, but as I said, they should cruise to a wild card spot with the three cakewalk games they have. If they lose any of those, like you might need to consider moving on from Sean McDermott, to be honest, if you can't pick up those 3 wins, and maybe if you can't steal one in New England to go 4-0 to make things super dicey. Wouldn't count on it. For the Bucs, I was just it's concerning second half offense, right? It was defense all year, but your offense, which has really carried the team, only got you 3 points in the second half. A lot of short drives, a lot of 4 plays, minute 19, 8 plays, 8 yards, 2 minutes 36. The one drive obviously got you the field goal, but then it was back to the 5 plays, 59 seconds, 8 plays, a minute and 48, 10 yards. Just clean that up. We don't know if Antonio Brown's going to come back, right? It doesn't even sound like Bruce Arians is committed to him actually coming back with the whole vaccination card, shot, false, whatever is going on there. So we don't know. I would assume, honestly, that he probably doesn't come back and join the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But I mean, I feel like if he was going to come back at some point, Bruce Arians would kind of put a timetable on it, right? He sort of says they're uncertain and there's no real like commitment to him actually coming back. So I think we're at a point where they might just have to operate on he's not coming back.
Well, is the 3-game suspension over?
I believe it ends next week.
Okay.
But it's like you would assume if he's for sure coming back, there would be like clarity, right? There wouldn't just be like Bruce Arians is kind of dodging and ducking the questions.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're good enough to win without him, but I mean, if they can put the BS to the side, which is a lot because it's freaking Antonio Brown, right? But you have Tom Brady. If anyone can convince Bruce Arians to bring it back and put it to the side, it's Tom. They just have another level to him when it's him, Evans, and Godwin on the field. I would like to see it in the playoffs, but hey, you never know. Bruce Arians is an old school kind of guy. He didn't even really want AB to start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Facts. So it definitely would help them, right? It would get the pressure. Obviously, you'd have AB, undoubtedly reliable guy that Tom Brady likes throwing the ball with Gronk out there. And obviously Evans, some of the rope that he threw to Evans in the end zone was just a ridiculous throw for a 45-year-old man to make. But yeah, I'm just under the assumption that he's not going to come back. I don't know. It's just kind of like with all the, especially with the COVID kind of spiking as it is right now. And we see throughout the league, massive amount of positive tests coming off Monday night throughout the entire league. That's kind of like a weird spot to bring back the fake vaccination card guy. Although he is a weapon, it's kind of like a bad look, right? It's kind of one of those things where Rodgers probably in the emails saying, "Yeah, I know you guys want to, but don't bring him back." Like, don't. But we'll see. I mean, if he does, that's another dynamic, and Tom Brady's going to be happy. And it's going to look good, but they just have to clean up a little bit of that. I mean, we know the defense is going to be shit. Like the defense is going to eventually break, but for the offense that's carried the team all year to only put up 3 points, although you're up big, you kind of want to see your offense keep rolling. But hey, they get the win nonetheless, right? You find a way to win games. As we say, good teams find a way to win. Yeah. And they do the job. Keeping it moving to another team that's kind of turning it around, finding ways to win games. We got the Chiefs. I believe that's 6 in a row for them as they beat the piss out of the Raiders. As I mentioned leading off, the Raiders decided it was funny to go to midfield before the game and do like a giant celebration on the Chiefs logo. And then after that, it was all downhill. Kansas City came out, basically just beat them up. Turnovers. If you're looking at the real cause for the downfall for the Raiders, Derek Carr threw a pick, a bunch of fumbles, dude. It was Hunter Renfrow fumbled one. They had so many fumbles. If I can pull up the stat real quick, yeah, they lost 4 fumbles, man. If you're going to lose 4 fumbles, yeah, I mean, the 4 fumbles, just ugly game. I mean, it looked like the Chiefs, they got everything going. They kind of played smart. Andy Reid dialed up some good plays. I liked his play calling. I liked everything that I saw out of the Chiefs. We got an efficient day out of Mahomes, 20 of 24, 258, not heavy on the yards, but they were up big. And the 2 touchdowns, you got 2 touchdowns out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Derek Gore, never heard of the guy, but 9 carries, 66 and a touchdown. So yeah, they just did it with the defense. Once again, I said last week they were kind of trending in that molded defensive team. Obviously, you don't expect every week to force 4 fumbles and get all 4 of those fumbles. But you do what you do. You beat up on a team that mocked your home field logo, probably closed their season 6-7. They're probably toast at this point for the Raiders, and they got a lot to figure out in the offseason, whether it's Derek Carr going forward into the future. But I mean, hey, we're at it where the Chiefs are now 9-4, and I guess we can officially kind of say they're back. Yeah. So how are you feeling? I don't really have much on the Raiders side, but I mean, there's plenty to talk about with the Chiefs. The defense, once again, great. And the offense, efficient, not really lighting it up, but they were efficient. I'll give them that.
Yeah, the Raiders 6-7, season derailed. They just have to make it to the end of this. They have a lot of questions. Coach, this might be Derek Carr's last month as a Raider, so Raiders have a lot of stuff to figure out. But Kansas City, best offensive performance since the last time they played the Raiders, right? So it's like it's hard to take away a lot from it offensively, not to mention the ton of turnovers defensively. But yeah, they're like a defensive football team now. It's wild. 6 in a row. They're 9-4. It kind of felt like they were dead in the water or like a wild card team halfway through. I know I definitely said they felt like a wild card team at one point. But here they are at the top. It feels like right now it's like New England and Kansas City feels like the AFC championship game. Obviously, anything can happen. But to me, I'm very impressed with Kansas City that they keep winning defensively. Yes, this was an offensive, like points wise, 48-9, but they forced all those fumbles and all those points came from great defensive play. So that's like the whole winning streak stems from their defensive play. And to me, that's kind of scary, right? Because you have this Kansas City offense that was so lethal the last few years. They're clearly not as lethal this year, but in theory, they could get it going because they still have their same key weapons. So, like, you never know. They can always just explode or pop off randomly like this past week. So it kind of brings me to the point. It's like, does this Chiefs team, like, it's not getting talked about the same as the last couple of years when they were in the Super Bowl, won one, lost one. But, like, does this Chiefs team, like, are they scarier this year than the past 2 years? Because this is the first time where they are like a defensive-minded football team and their defense is one of the best in the league. So it's like, do you think Kansas City is scarier this year? They're not really being talked about in the media like that. They're kind of there still, but they're not talked in the same light because it's not Mahomes sidearm 300 yards every single week. But this is almost a scarier team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they feel more complete this year. They don't feel, at least I shouldn't even say this year, this past 6 games, they feel like a more complete football team because they were 3-4 sub 500 club at one point. And yeah, we were saying wild card. But they're a weird team. You see the switch, the defense is attacking, forcing turnovers, and you're not having Mahomes have to do as much. They're also playing smarter, running the ball more. Getting usage out of whatever running backs are out there. Obviously, Derek Gore, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I don't know if they're scarier, but they're definitely, I mean, they're harder to game plan for, right? When you have the defense doing so much and then you're kind of watching the offense is not as good, but then in the back of your head that Tyreek Hill at any moment can get behind your defense and burn you. And then they still have Travis Kelce. So they're definitely, they're a team to keep the eyes on, obviously, as they've picked it up over the past 6 games. Yeah, I mean, one could argue because their problem in the past has been the defense being able to be consistent. And this past 6 games, I mean, the defense, at least in the Mahomes Reid era, has been as consistent as it's ever been, I would say.
Yeah, this might be Reed's best defense since like the early thousands Philadelphia Eagles. But this Chiefs teams makes me think of those Tom, like halfway through that dynasty when Tom Brady kind of lost his weapons and they weren't that good offensively, but they were still winning a lot of games because you had Tom Brady who knew how to do enough offensively, but in an elite defense. I kind of get that vibe with this Chiefs team because they have elite weapons that can get enough done, but like they're just a defensive team right now, and it's impressive to see, especially like they were such a dynastic offense that now they're a defensive team. Crazy transition, but hey, they're still winning games.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even, yeah, they're just a timely defense team. I don't even know if I would consider it like a legendary unit, but they're finding ways to get timely turnovers, get to the quarterback. The addition of Melvin Ingram, great. Everything with the Chris Jones, I've said it a million times, that was crucial. So yeah, I mean, it just we gotta see if the offense can pop off and the defense keeps playing, then they become even scarier. But I just don't think that we'll see that level of offense. They're just not pretty, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that everybody loved about the Chiefs the past 2 years is they were fun to watch. Like it was like watching backyard football. And now we're kind of seeing real football. Yeah, we're seeing them have to play real football, right? The football that everybody else has to play on the NFL field every Sunday, and it's different. It takes some adjusting to get used to, but it's probably good. I mean, you want to be able to play smart. You're not going to be able to do circus stuff in the playoffs and run around and throw sidearm balls and throw for 500 yards and have that work against great football teams and conference title games and eventually Super Bowls. I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan or just you like the Chiefs in general, you got to like where they're at. Especially, that offense can explode at any moment still, even though they haven't looked as great.
Right. And that's the thought process for everybody that like we feel like the offense will explode at some point. But yeah, I mean, my reservation is still there. We both have said it before. Like, I think there's a pretty decent to strong chance that like the Chiefs offense never truly returns to form this year at all.
Yeah, if they just play smarter, I think. I mean, just an outsider. I'm no like huge Chiefs supporter. If they just play smart, right? They don't turn the ball over, and you got it. You got everything locked. Just use what you got. They've used the middle of the field quite a bit with Kelsey. It's been smart to watch. The running backs, I think, getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back. He has fresh legs. That was big for the team, and just finding ways, even if it's screen passes, to get Tyreek Hill the ball. I mean, he's so explosive and dynamic that it doesn't have to be home runs because I think teams they've caught on to the home runs. Like, they're not going to get beat by the home
Yeah.
runs. So it's we're seeing a change of the guard. We're seeing a team that was once playing backyard ball, playing some real football. But it's good to see them find success, get it back going. 6-game win streak, and big Thursday night game. We'll get into that obviously with Week 15's preview. But they play the Chargers Thursday night. That should be a fun one. In LA, obviously the Chargers won the first one at Arrowhead, so Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid want to get that one back on a short week. Yeah, let's keep it moving. We got AFC North battle, Browns, Ravens. I was super hyped for it. I thought it would be at least like not really super hyped, but I thought it'd be a better game than we saw. Obviously, we watched Cleveland come out and just dominate 10-0 first quarter. Lamar got hurt. Huntley was in, and I said, yeah, that's probably that's a wrap. And then what do you know? Like randomly, bang! Here comes the Browns. Second half, they can't score, and the Ravens are right back in. They get an onside kick. The ball hits 31. He should probably be cut. I think that's like the fullback. Like I'd probably just cut him just for being that stupid and getting hit with the ball. Like I don't even know what he was looking at. But I guess if you're a Ravens fan, Tyler Huntley, if you have to watch him going forward, 27 of 38, 270 and a touchdown. Wasn't terrible. It's obviously not Lamar Jackson. And then if you're on the Brown side, I mean, you keep it going, right? It's not a pretty win, but it is a win. You're now 7-6 on the year. You're right back in play with Lamar's injury. You're right back in play. The division's kind of cracked wide open, which we'll kind of talk about at the end of this. Baker Mayfield, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. That's kind of a typical Baker Mayfield stat line. Nick Chubb, 17 carries, 59 yards. They didn't get a rushing touchdown, which is super interesting. 2 throwing, 1 Jarvis Landry and Hooper. Yeah, it was kind of a game where they had the game in the bag early, and they kind of let the foot off the gas, up 24-6, and they let the Ravens sneak back into it. I don't know if that's definitely not a good thing, especially when the team's using their backup quarterback. to let them sneak back in. Shout out Ravens back to recover though. Ravens +3. That's a solid. We'll take that. But yeah, I mean the AFC North. It's now with Lamar's injury. We don't know what it is. We don't know how. Or we know what it is. Ankle sprain. He avoided the high ankle sprain, but we don't know how it's going to hamper them going forward, especially with an offense that's already looked bad. Like they haven't looked good in a few weeks, probably since the Miami game, to be honest, since that Thursday night all-out blitz Dolphins game. They really haven't looked good offensively. So the AFC North's wide open. We got Baltimore 8-5, Cleveland 7-6, Bengals 7-6, and the Steelers somehow just 6-6-1, just hanging out. So I mean, what do we make of this game and obviously the AFC North going forward?
Yeah, this game from a Baltimore Ravens perspective, the best thing I can say is like I'm ecstatic that they backdoor covered for me because they played just not good football in the first half at all. You lose Lamar Jackson, like you said. At least Huntley was efficient and could move the ball, so maybe not all is lost. I'm just kind of down on Baltimore. They started their season off with a ton of injuries. If we remember, right before the opening week against the Raiders on Monday night, they lost like all their running backs 2 weeks before. That was like the start of it. They lost. Was it Humphreys? I believe they lost for the season just in the last 2 weeks, cornerback. But they've just been so beat up, Baltimore. And you rely on Lamar Jackson's an elite talent to get it done. And now that he's kind of beat up, it's really hard to see Baltimore kind of hanging on to this division or even a wild card spot. They have really tough games and finish the season. They play Green Bay next week. They have a Rams matchup still. Another divisional game. It's just hard to see Baltimore hanging on here. Baltimore was originally my pick. I was very high on Baltimore all year. They had some very impressive wins, but it's such a tough schedule down this last month that you got Cincinnati, Green Bay, the Rams, and then I think there's one gimme. But like that's just if you go 1-3 or even maybe 2-2 might not be enough. It's just hard. It's just really hard to see Baltimore hanging on here. It'd be very Baltimore-esque to go out there and win with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. Baltimore just knows how to rally players, next man up, and just stay competitive. So I think what we're going to see from Baltimore, depending on the severity of Lamar's injury, is that we're going to see them stay competitive but kind of slip away in the last month. And then that kind of brings me to the Cleveland side. Good first half, not good second half. They let Baltimore get back into it. They were shut out in the second half. Cleveland was. Which is pretty concerning to me. They couldn't even get a field goal in the second half, and then all of a sudden the game got very close. If the Ravens got their 2-point conversion on their first touchdown, it would have went to overtime. So it's not encouraging for Cleveland. Congrats on getting the win. They're 7-6. They're right there, and all of a sudden the division's wide open, which brings us to the big question about the AFC North. And I already stated that I feel like Baltimore will slide down. Steelers might be able to get it done, but they have Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Ravens. I think the Steelers are already slightly behind. They'll stay behind. So to me, it comes down to Cincinnati and Cleveland.
Go for it.
I don't know which one. I don't. I think it'll be a week 17 or week 18 matchup, and the winner gets in.
Yeah, I'm just going with Cleveland. I think they'll be able to run the ball. Obviously, I like their running game. I like a team that has Myles Garrett coming off the edge. Davion Clowney's finding a way to get some sacks. Denzel Ward in the secondary. I just think if I had to pick a team, I don't trust either of them, but I'm done trusting the Bengals. I'm out on the Bengals. I've been out on the Bengals for like 2 weeks now. And this week was kind of really the nail in the coffin for my Bengals. Any faith in that club. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you that it will probably come down to that game. It'll be probably flexed to a Sunday night game. And I would probably at this point go with the Browns to win the AFC North. Sounds weird, but Lamar injury with an offense that's already not really humming as it is. I just don't know how they're going to be able to get it done. They're kind of, I don't know. They went away from, they're like a running team, but they're not a running team. It's so weird. They went 1 for 12 on third down against the Browns on Sunday. That's at 8%. That's the lowest percentage since 2000. So, I mean, that's not good. I just don't know if Tyler Huntley has to play a game, I don't know what you expect. I mean, that's a shoe-in. They play the Rams. I mean, they're at best, I would say 2-2. They'd have to steal the division game on the road. And then I just don't know if you can really, it's weird to say that, but with Baltimore, yeah, I just think they got overwhelmed with injuries. I don't think there's a game where you can be like, yeah, they'll for sure beat the Steelers on January 9th. Like I can't sit here and say that up until this point. So yeah, I think just the injuries crumbled them on defense, and then the offense kind of just went sour. And they're going to have to go back to the drawing board in the offseason and kind of refigure it out. Obviously, you'll get J.K. Dobbins back. I don't know why they went away from Tyson Williams, who's really their only young running back. They decided to run with the old heads with Devontae Freeman and Latavius Murray, although he only got one carry on Sunday. Yeah, so I think it's just kind of it's a weird lost season for the Ravens when everything seemed to be trending up. Even though they were injured, they were able to find a way to win games where they weren't supposed to win. And it almost felt like they were going to do it again Sunday. But I think we've seen the pot of luck kind of run out for the Ravens.
Also, not to mention for Baltimore, even if they have so many injuries, even if you have a healthy Lamar, there's no guarantee you beat Green Bay, Cincinnati, or the Rams. Even the Steelers game, even with Lamar. So it's like it's really hard to feel good about Baltimore. I really do think they slip. And just to the point of that Week 17 game, Cleveland and Cincinnati, it's in Cleveland. Cleveland kicked the shit out of Cincinnati earlier in the year. If you made me pick right now, I'd lean Cleveland, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, Cincy's just it for me. They're just a young, sloppy football team, and we've seen it time and time again with the Bengals. They just find ways to turn it over. They really don't get it going Sunday until the fourth quarter to really get them back into the game against a team that they probably should have beat anyway. I mean, Jeff Wilson was the only healthy running back for the 49ers. I guess if you count Deebo Samuel as a running back, he was out there, but he also is dealing with a groin injury. So yeah, I just don't. I'm not buying any Bengals. I don't like to buy any Baker Mayfield either. But home team, division on the line, I'll take the Browns to win the AFC North.
That and everybody in that division's final month of the season is a damn tough schedule. So I'm assuming they're just going to get beat up, and that the only team that makes it from the AFC North will be the division winner, which is really weird to say.
Exactly. So, I mean, that really leads us into kind of the last topic, might even be a short one since we kind of already had our consensus leading into this topic. But our man Blaine dialed it up. AFC wildcard spots. Obviously, 5 teams are sitting at 7 and 6. Which 3 do you think is making it right now? I mean, I'll go just first, just based off of it. I mentioned already the Bills' schedule. They have three out of 4 games are essentially cakewalks, so they should have 10 wins, 10 and 7. If they lose to the Patriots, they're a shoe-in for sure, even coming off a game where they lose again, or back-to-back weeks where they lose. And then Chargers as well. I don't have their schedule up, but I mean, they're 8 and 5 right now. They're pretty much they will be in the playoffs. So it comes down to really the last wild card spot, and it's crazy to say it, but I think we're both in agree once you say your 3 as well. But I'm rolling with the Colts to take the last spot. I think they'll find a way to win either the Patriots game this Saturday, or they'll win the Cardinals game, and then they have 2 cakewalks. I like Frank Reich. Wentz he hasn't been great, but he's been consistent, right? He's been there. Their O-line, their defense is kind of getting it back together. And then Jonathan Taylor is just, that man's absolutely nasty coming out of the backfield. So I like the Colts to slide in and take the last wild card spot. And it's weird at the time where we thought, hey, will the AFC North put 2 teams in? No, I mean, they're going to put just their division winner into the playoffs in my eyes, in which I said that would be the Cleveland Browns. So my 3 are the Chargers, Bills, and Colts to secure the final 3 spots in that AFC side.
I hate to just blatantly agree with you, but I do. The Bills, like we've said many times, the remaining schedule. The Chargers, 8 and 5. I think you got the Thursday night game against the Chiefs, and then they finish with the Texans, Broncos in LA. So that's at home, and then the Raiders. So like, it's really hard to see the Chargers not finishing 3 and 1, honestly. So I think they'll get in. The Bills will get in, and then the last one, I just got to go with the Colts because I like the Colts a lot. Outside of New England and Kansas City, I think the Colts are like the team nobody wants to play in the AFC. I've said that week after week now. They have a good defense. You have Jonathan Taylor and that offensive line, so Carson Wentz doesn't have to do too much. And Carson Wentz does still have all the talent in the world to make the plays when he needs to. And I think he gets it done at home against New England or on the road against Arizona. One of those games, if I'm going to pick one, I would pick the New England game because it's in Indianapolis and they definitely play better at home. Indy does. So I would go with those three. And I still believe that the best team out of those would be the Colts. I don't know. I think there's something there with that roster. They had the corpse of Phillip Rivers at quarterback last season. They almost beat the much better Bills than the Bills are this year. So it's like, it's hard. I just like that Colts roster a lot. They started slow, but they've gotten it going. And I think they have one of the toughest paths out of those three teams to make it. But I got faith in the Colts. I think they get it done.
Facts. And then if they hold where they are now, the 6th seed as of right now would be a very interesting wild card weekend matchup in Kansas City against, you said it's kind of the team that I don't know if anybody would want to face in the wild card round with that offensive line with Carson Wentz, who's playing a smart football, Jonathan Taylor and just Frank Reich. They kind of have everything. They smell like an upset, right? Like everything.
Yep.
They can beat any team. But yeah, I mean, it's spot on. If there was any team to kind of the Bengals are going to get beat up on, I don't like the Broncos schedule. If there's a team in this group that can win 3 of 4, I think it's Frank Reich's Colts, who can steal a game when they have to steal one. So yeah, we're right in agreement, but it's super crazy that it's that close. It's close, but it's when you look at the schedules and you kind of map it out, it's really not. I mean, it's really a bunch of teams battling for one spot as we kind of dive into it. The Bills being kind of they're set with their schedule, they get lucky, and then the Chargers as well are in a good spot with 8 wins. But go for it.
I was just saying, it's just so damn tight that there's teams we didn't even mention that technically have a shot, and that would be Denver and Miami. I doubt either of them make it, but that's just how close everything is.
Facts. Miami they just run out of games, right? They're 6 and 7 right now. The best they could go, they would have to win, 4 in a row. And if I pull up their schedule, it's kind of the Jets, that's a dub in New Orleans, Tennessee at Tennessee, and the Patriots at home. But they're just kind of one of those teams where it's like they're weird. Like they're playing good football right now, but there's not they could very easily lose in New Orleans at Tennessee to the Patriots. They're not a team where it's like I don't see them being able to steal one weirdly or like be able to. They'd have to go 4-0. Too much pressure to play perfect football. If they didn't get off to a slow start, though, man, if you don't start 1-6 or 1-5.
Yeah,
kind of. They're probably getting in. We're probably actually talking about them more. Any quick topics before we kind of wrap this up? Look at the spread picks for the week. Obviously, Thursday Night Football. If we're throwing it all the way back to the beginning of the week, Vikings jumped out early. They let Pittsburgh, typical Vikings fashion, let Pittsburgh right back into it, and then debatable call at the end, or I guess debatable no call. According to some, where the Vikings hold on at home. Shout out Vikings -3, and then Dallas. They tried to lose. They really tried to lose to the Washington Football Team. Man, Dak Prescott, holy smokes, brother! He doesn't run anymore. And then that throw to Cole Holcomb for the pick 6 was egregious throw. Any other things that you kind of saw, or you want to harp on those 2 games?
I really want to complain about the Steelers not covering, but because they played such a bad first half. But you can argue that Minnesota should have blown them out. Perfect Jekyll and Hyde teams playing each other, just like when we saw Cincinnati and Minnesota play each other. Like, come on now. And then the last one is the 49ers. They get the overtime win on the road. They are coming together. They're 7-6, and just like I said about the Colts in the AFC. Like nobody wants to play them. If I had to pick a wild card team that people wouldn't want to play in the NFC, I'd probably pick the Niners. They're kind of similar built. They don't have that elite running back that they could really use that. But I don't know. I don't have as much faith in the Niners as I do the Colts. But the Niners will be a wild card team, and they're starting to get it together and starting to look good.
They just need to stop losing every running back on the roster. They need to keep keep somebody healthy, but nonetheless, a good win. Yes, screw the Bengals. Good win on the road, man. It was one that a lot of people didn't think they'd go on the road and beat the Bengals, right? We didn't think the Bengals would lose. two straight in that building. But what do you know? It's typical Bengals football, and it's just what you get. They're a young team, and they got outclassed. But yeah, moving it forward, spread picks for week 14, how we all did. It was kind of up and up for me and you, John, at 8-6. I mean, he's the leader in the clubhouse, so it's kind of always good to stay above 500 and have an 8-6 week, kind of keep your thing. Although you lose 2 games, ground on your or 2 games off your lead, he's still in a good spot with 4 weeks to go. I mean, overall, I'm happy with my picks outside of the Cardinals. Obviously, I felt like they should have won, didn't get the job done at home, and then the Bengals as well. The other two, the Lions, that's kind of, I realized that was the dumb pick of the week, and then the Panthers as well. They're shot.
Yeah, the Panthers are shot. I wish they weren't because I like Cam Newton, but he's not going to be a starting quarterback after this month. That's for sure. I already complained about the Steelers, and the other one I would complain about would be the Cardinals. Like we said at the beginning, they just played so damn sloppy, but can't actually complain. 10-4, 2 games under. Like I said at the beginning, I got a month left to reach my goal and be above 500. So in a good position.
Exactly. We're both picking it up. We're only 6 games out, so we're chasing John fast. So John, keep having those 8-6 weeks, man. When we're tossing up 10-win weeks, we'll see where we're at. But it's gonna be super fun with 4 weeks to go. That we still there's no like clear cut guy that's rolling. And I mean, at one point, yeah, John could be 10 games over, but then you have a bad week and bad couple weeks, and bang, you're 5 games under. So it's super fun, considering it's the first time I've ever picked like every game minus my favorite team's game against the spread for an entire week. So it's a super cool thing to do and watch after every single week.
Same. And I mean, they're like halfway through the year, I was above 500, had a really bad month in a row ish, but I'm pretty happy with the performance so far picking, because it's definitely not easy picking the spreads each week.
No, yeah, it's very hard, especially when we're picking them like midweek on a Thursday or a Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
And bang, Friday, the entire team has COVID and they don't make the trip. So it's kind of it's a weird time, but hey, we're keeping it rolling 10-4. And we'll see what we have for week 15. But I mean, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you everybody for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. As always, the Spotify link, if you're an audio only person, will be in the description, which it uploads at the same time this video will be live on YouTube. And yeah, as always, we'll see you on the week 15 preview.